Hello and welcome to this week, the Crypto Adoption Week in the Nordics. We are today going to start the week with a live event on Sweden. The Crypto Adoption Week, this is the second time we have organized it. And this year we are organizing it together with Take Case 33, of course, because they are also the company that has worked on this survey for 5 years. Last year, we also could have an event where Finland, Sweden, Denmark was also joining. And this year, we are also welcoming Iceland on one of the live events. And we have also been supported by other companies and communities in the crypto industry like Safello, QuarnX, Visma Digital Assets, January, and Chainalysis. So it's nice to see that people are gathering around this type of event, which will give the whole industry insight going forward. And the first one on stage, one more thing, it's rather fun that we can see now that there are nearly 500 people that have attended or wanted to attend. And we are going broadcast on Kaupir. There's a special landing page there. We are on YouTube. We are on live LinkedIn events. And we are also on X or Twitter. So there should be all types of options for people to decide where they want to follow this event. Okay, then I can welcome Jakob Mikkel Hansen, and maybe you can introduce yourself, Jakob.
Yeah, thank you very much, Morten. My name is Jakob Mikkel Hansen. I'm from Nordic Blockchain Association. We have been part of the Crypto Adoption Week since last year as well, and extremely happy about it. I would like to just briefly mention a little bit about NBA and why we find things like this extremely important. So the association has existed now for 8 years. We are represented with ambassadors or people in the whole region, which means Sweden, Norway, Finland, the Baltic region, and Iceland and Denmark as well. We have identified some things we find extremely important for the industry of blockchain, which is the legal landscape, finance to the industry and education, and as well promote best practice. And we do that by operating with steering committees. And just to give some relevance, I presume, for the audience here, we have in the legal steering committee, as an example, last year been quite active with the Danish policymakers towards a new crypto law. It actually was suggested that it should be on unrealized gains, which would have tremendous devastating impact on the industry. We as association and with a lot of people, like the whole industry came together, we managed to get that basically stopped. And now we as association are working closely with the public elected, but as well with the ministry to create a new law in Denmark that can actually handle a crypto. And a really fun fact is that like one of the main reasons that we could actually manage to get it stopped is that we actually had data on the industry. So we actually used this data from this report for the public elected and for the dialogue with the ministries to basically put numbers on how many actually had it, how long time it had it, how have they been acting. So we really just want to emphasize that things like this is extremely important for the industry, for people finding it interesting, trading. So we're extremely happy to be part of this. And this year, we really want to be active with policymakers in other regions as well, including Sweden. And that's why we as well are extremely happy to have our yearly conference this year in Stockholm. It had been in Copenhagen for the last couple of years. We actually won Conference of the Year. So we're extremely happy to be in Stockholm this June, the 18th and 19th. And we really hope that as an association, we can use this opportunity to engage with policymakers and people who are a part of doing this. So extremely happy to be here, Morten, and for all the people that you mentioned, extremely glad that you have been supporting this survey. We find it extremely, extremely important that we have data upon the industry. So thank you very much, everyone, and really looking forward to see the findings.
Thank you very much, Jakob. And we are all looking forward to Stockholm in June. And this is the first time where the conference is not in Copenhagen. So we are building, the industry is building across the Nordics. So that's nice. Thank you very much, then, Jakob.
Thank you, Morten.
Then we will bring on stage Vetle and Vetle Lunde and Magnus Jones. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Morten.
Thank you.
Yes, and now, of course, we have a week, but the meat of the week is the survey. That is what we all are waiting for. And are you wrapping it up like a Christmas present when you guys are trying to find the results for the different countries?
Yeah, it's every year when we reach out to Norstat, sends out the questions and get the first top line results on the first day, and excitement starts to build. It is really a thrill to get the final data. It's very rare that I get so excited when I open up an Excel spreadsheet, as I do every time I work on this report.
What about you, Magnus?
Oh, it's a joyful, nerdy excitement connected to this one, actually. But on the other side, what is exciting is to see that we actually every year have had significant findings in one way or the other. So we can also reveal this much since we already have all the numbers. And even though we will just reveal the numbers on Sweden today, that we have some surprises coming up over the whole week, just as previous years.
Yes, let us also get a short presentation of you guys. Vetle, you are a known analyst also abroad, and also you, Magnus, is Mr. Web3, have called you in some relationship in the Nordics or in Northern Europe. But present yourself, please. Vetle first.
Yep, so I am head of research in K33. I have been working as an analyst for 5 years, and then climbed the ladder, and I'm now responsible for the research department at K33. On a day-to-day basis, my job is trying to understand the price of cryptocurrencies and overall market structure and what it means for the future. But every year since 2020, I have been doing crypto surveys for Norway at an annual rate, and then expanded to Nordics this year. And the first survey was done already in 2018 by Torbjørn when he worked in Menon. But it is one of the highlights of the year, and it helps both us as a research house, but also the industry as a whole to better understand the Nordic crypto habits and the path from here.
Magnus?
Thank you, Morten. My name is Magnus Jones. I used to be the Nordic blockchain and innovation lead at EY, Ernst & Young, for many years. So that's also where EY was a supporter to the survey for many years there. I left them last year, started a consultancy by myself, building that one further now. So maybe just in a few weeks we will have some news coming up also on that side together with some other parties, so that's exciting. But on the other side, I also hold several board roles. One is that I'm a board member at K33. Another is that I'm a board member at the Nordic Blockchain Association. So working literally A to Z within this landscape, everything from the smallest DeFi actors to the largest banks, central banks, on everything from strategy, tokenomics to tax and legal side of this joyful landscape.
Yes, and we also are linked to some of these social media platforms. For instance, from LinkedIn, the LinkedIn event of Sweden, we have a lot of good mornings, heart, and
GMs coming up.
Well, yeah, there are some of them as well. So we wish you good luck, guys, and just take control of the screen, Vetle, and I will then take a pause.
Thank you, Morten.
There we go. Welcome everyone to the first data release of this massive crypto adoption week. We are trying to identify how many people owns crypto in the various Nordic countries, how many people intends to own crypto within these countries, and also where they trade crypto and how much value they have in crypto. And today we're starting off with Sweden, and we're looking forward to showcasing the numbers and discuss them further later in this webinar. So just to start off and have some transparency on the questions and the way we have run the survey, we are using Norstat, who have helped us getting a representative panel of people of various social classes, economic classes, age brackets, and gender to get a representative sample of Swedes and get representative insights from Swedish crypto-related questions. We have sent 2 questions to each and every respondent, whether or not they own Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, and whether or not they intend or think they will buy Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies or even NFTs within the next 1 to 3 to 5 to 10 years. And then if the respondents have indicated that they do own cryptocurrency, we have asked them questions related to the current value they hold in crypto and which platforms they use to buy or sell cryptocurrencies. Question 3 is new this year. In our survey the last year, we asked when people bought crypto. We now have some solid information on that from last year. Now we seek to understand how much value people hold in crypto. But let's get to the numbers. So in Sweden, we have seen a moderate growth rate from 6.8% last year to 7.4% this year of Swedish crypto ownership rates. While I'm not going to talk too much about other numbers from the Nordic, this is somewhat stagnant compared to the rest of the Nordics, and it shows that Sweden has some grounds to grow in the years ahead. It is very interesting to note that this growth is driven by older investors with 50 to 64-year-olds seeing a high growth in ownership over the past year. And further, it's also interesting to note that propensity of owning crypto tends to grow alongside higher incomes and alongside higher education levels. So typically, a Swede with higher income or higher education is more inclined to invest in crypto than other Swedes. And within the old age bracket, we believe that the initiatives from BlackRock, Fidelity, and other very established traditional finance institutions to move into the space, in addition to regulatory frameworks in the EU evolving, and Bitcoin reaching nation-state importance in the US, has helped solidifying and legitimizing crypto assets as an investable asset for older age brackets. And while this small increase of from 6.8% to 7.4% seem moderate at the first glance, it do reflects 88,000 new Swedish crypto owners. So from the past year, Swedish crypto ownership has grown from approximately 545,000 people to a solid 630,000 people.
And when we look into the demographic of the age, like Vetle also briefly mentioned here, we naturally see that the majority of people who owns crypto, which is not surprising, and that we see in all jurisdiction, regardless of if it's Nordics or in Europe or in the world in general, is among the younger generation. So roughly 3 out of 4 Swedes, they under the age of 49 are crypto owners. However, the numbers that we paid notice to this year is the significant growth in the age group of 50 to 64, where we've had an increase of 225%. And that means that there must be some reasons for this also. We've seen a slightly decrease in the age group 18-29 and 30-49 also on the blue brackets here. And it might be a small correlation towards how the world is currently acting. Younger persons, students, or in the establishing phase, the times has become more expensive in general. So we have less to invest. On the other side, the established generation of 50 to 64, they still also have this opportunity, but we rather also see it in the combination of trust being put into the market in a different way, that we have had the MiCA, the Markets and Crypto Asset Regulation from the EU, coming fully in place now from 2025. This opens up to a totally new landscape where we do not only see this from the European perspective, but also naturally from the US side of the positive attitude towards the crypto sector and the industry. So just the last year, there has been lots of financial institutions and banks who has moved into this area with various different type of crypto and service offerings. And naturally, I think it's easier for a person in the age group 50 to 64 to trust a traditional financial institution or a bank compared to going to a random cryptocurrency exchange to purchase it. So these might be some of the reasons, while we also have seen that people pay more and more notice to that Bitcoin in itself, if you look into that asset class, over time has proven to have a growth and can presumably give you also then a better investment opportunity if you look into it in the longer perspective. Of course, there's highly volatility connected towards it, but looking into the mirror, that's also aspects that can play into this number, but it will be very interesting to hear more now in terms of the panel that we have coming up and their thoughts surrounding this one as well. When we look into the demographics of men versus women, we see that numbers are quite like in other jurisdictions, not only Nordics, but globally in general. The majority of crypto owners are male. In Sweden, we have seen there has been the same percentage as last year, 3% of all Swedes in general has crypto assets. If you look into the ones who has crypto assets, who has answered yes to it, it is 23% of all women and actually 77% of all men. And there may be several different reasons for this. Some of them we have mentioned here in the report that will also release on Friday, so you will get access to it then. But it's natural things like female in general are more risk diverse than men. And I can just, maybe if you're interested in this topic, highlight and recommend to watch into a stream that Kauper did now in just a couple of weeks ago, where we had a full broadcast on diversity, where this topic has been very well discussed. But we see in general and in brief the same patterns that we see all over the world in general. And one thing is to look into, call it the male-female ratio right now. Another is to also naturally look into the growth going forward and the prediction in the next 10 years.
Yes. So question 2 in the survey, encompassing whether or not people believe they will buy crypto in the future, provides some interesting figures here in Sweden. 21% of all the respondents in the survey indicated that they believe they will buy crypto within the next 10 years. This translates roughly to 1.8 million potential Swedish crypto owners by 2035. Compared to last year, this is quite a small change, where 20% indicated that they believe they will buy crypto in the future. But it's still a growth, and it reflects 200,000 more potential Swedish crypto owners within the next decade than what we've uncovered last year. Many of these respondents intend to buy within the next 3 years. It's 5% of the respondents believe they will buy crypto within the next calendar year, whereas a further 7% believe they will buy within the next 3 years. So as many as 12% of all respondents asked in the survey believe they will buy crypto within the next 3-year period. And then another 4% believe they will buy crypto within the next 5 years, and 5% within the next 10 years, leading us to land on a number of 21% expecting to buy crypto within the next decade. And it's interesting to see whether or not people will buy in the future, but it's even more interesting to analyze the raw data and see what current holders expect to do in the future and what non-holders expect to do in the future. So this chart here is the same bar chart as illustrated in the previous slide, albeit we have separated current owners from current non-owners of crypto in Sweden. In 1 year time, the prevalence of people intending to buy crypto is dominated by current holders, but it still is 1.8% of all respondents who participated in the survey who expects to buy crypto within the next year. And as time moves on, we see that current non-owners become more and more likely to purchase crypto, with as many as 4% expecting to buy within the next 3 years, and a further 4% within the next 5 years, and then virtually all future buyers within 10 years being current non-holders. So this suggests that Swedish crypto adoption has good legs to move in the years to come. And analyzing this based on age shows an interesting discrepancy between current ownership and expected ownership in the future, where we saw a slight decline within the 18 to 29 year bracket among current holders of crypto. We see a very significant increase in expectations to buy crypto within the next 10 years within this age bracket. As many as 40% of the respondents aged 18 to 29% believe they will buy crypto within the next 10 years. The reason why ownership rates have declined, whereas expectations to buy have inclined, may be due to higher costs of living, relatively smaller portions of capital available to spend now. But this data highlights that many youths are very positive for crypto in the future. And it also illustrates an interesting demographic tendency for the future. These 18 to 29-year-olds will become 30 to 39-year-olds and will have more capacity to invest. And further, we will see the same kind of transition from 30 to 49-year-olds. So with the general positive sentiment among younger age brackets, we can well see Swedish crypto adoption grow further beyond the current numbers we have indicated in our survey.
And when it comes to where people are actually purchasing or trading their crypto, we have asked the question as a multiple choice question, so it doesn't add up to 100 here in terms of the overall, but rather naturally that people do not only trade at one place, but they use several different platforms. So we see that we have a split between the Swedish ones, the Nordic related ones, and also the international ones. And we don't have shown on the graph the numbers from last year, but what we have seen is that the international ones has decreased. So for example, Coinbase, which is a very popular international one, has decreased from 36% to 17%. And we have also seen that Binance has gone from 20% to 11% right now. And also other international in general, going from 25 to 17. What we have seen an increase in here, and it might be an explanation that people have moved further on, is that the Uniswap and other DeFi, the decentralized exchanges and trading platforms, they have grown now by 5% in total since last year. So it can be an indication towards that also Swedish crypto users are becoming even more advanced in some matter in terms of not just buying crypto to sit still and hold it and wait for hopefully a value to raise, but they're actually using it actively within a decentralized ecosystem in some matter. But the most, call it, highlighting elements that is also very specific towards Sweden is the ETP or the ETFs, the exchange traded funds, where you can actually invest in a financial product that has underlying crypto assets as the holdings of the value of the investment. And that is up at 33% here. And there might be, we saw it at least last year, that we had Sweden was leading the way on this one. There might be different reasons for it. There's several actors offering these kind of products that has been linked to Sweden, but also for tax reasons and purposes. And also in general that we might have seen a link and a correlation towards naturally the older generation that we mentioned earlier, that they might tend to then prefer to go to the bank and buy the classic financial instruments, while on the same side being exposed to crypto in some matter. So there might be a correlation between these also. One thing is, of course, to look into where you do your trades in some matter. Another is how much do you actually purchase and buy? So we ask this question now for the first time here in Sweden, and we see that these numbers, they correlate very well towards the question that we only had in Norway last year. That the majority of crypto owners has a relatively small amount in total. So we see that more than 50% of all crypto owners in Sweden has values for less than 10,000 Swedish crowns. And if we then expand it further, we even see that there's approximately 82% that has less values than 50,000 Swedish crowns. So this means that in general, there might not be this hypothesis that everyone who is into crypto get rich quick, but rather that we see people invest in it, that we're starting to see more and more come into it to learn, to play around with it. But on the other side, we have also seen that there's quite a significant amount in total relating to the 1.17% here, who has about 500,000 Swedish crowns in total value as well.
Yes, because based on these numbers, we can do some quite interesting estimates on how much value Swedish crypto owners as a whole hold in crypto. We have emulated an approach done by Norges Bank in their Norwegian survey last year, where we look at the median sum within each value bracket of ownership and multiply that with the amount of holders within that bracket. So, for instance, within the 1,000 to 10,000 Swedish kroner bracket, we know there are approximately 200,000 owners. So we multiply 200,000 by 5,500 Swedish kroners to land on an estimated 1 billion Swedish kroner held in wealth among these 200,000 people in crypto. And we can clearly from this data see that while fewer and fewer people holds vast amounts of crypto, the amounts they hold represent a big and outsized portion of the combined crypto wealth in Sweden. Approximately, we estimate that the top 5% Swedish crypto owners hold 50% of Swedish crypto wealth. And this closely resembles wealth data from the EU on net wealth, where 5% of households hold over 43% of the net wealth. So based on this relatively simple back-of-the-envelope estimation, we estimate that Swedish crypto owners combined hold values of 28 billion Swedish kroners, and it's the whales and the bigger holders who hold the most substantial amounts of cryptocurrency exposure.
And finishing off now with the last graph. These numbers might be a little hard to see. This relates to the tax reporting in SoMatter and the numbers that is public available from the tax authorities. So we have not received the numbers from the tax year 2023 from the tax authorities yet. So this is the previous year, but still we see that for the public numbers that is around there, it has been between 6,000 to 8,000 people only who has reported crypto assets in SoMatter. And if we take that number into comparison with the 630,000 we have estimated that owns crypto in Sweden of the new survey, we see that this is a very low percentage-wise number, which could look bad in terms of that lots of people, including journalists and others, are drawing quick conclusions that this is what we have said. It's only criminals who is in there and they don't want to pay their taxes and they don't want to report this. And parts of this element might be true. But when we look into also these smaller amounts, like we saw in terms of how large percentage that 82% of all crypto owners has values for less than 50,000 Swedish crowns and more than 50% has less than 10,000 crowns. That might also be down to the reason that people have received crypto sometime, they don't understand how to declare it, or they're not even aware of it. So these numbers are not necessarily this black and white as we see in the graphs in front of us. And we have also discussed this one with Norwegian Tax Administration, who also do similar service, and they have confirmed to us they see the same pattern in SoMatter. So the numbers here should not be seen slowly, as black and white as said, but we will also on Friday have together with us the Norwegian Tax Administration in Norway, the Crypto Task Force group there. We will discuss this one further in detail. So I just recommend for the ones of you who is interested in this topic to join us further in this week, so we can also look further into this. But it will be interesting to also hear from the other side of the industry now, where we have representatives from the Swedish company Divly, to look into this aspect that is an important element surrounding all of these numbers.
Yes, so I would also like to add one other remark, and it's that in Sweden, 1 in 4 owns crypto exposure solely through crypto ETPs, and within Skatteverket, this is handled as financial instruments and not crypto holdings, meaning that roughly 1/4 of all Swedish crypto owners will not show up as crypto holders in the tax bill, rather people holding värdepapper. So there are even like many holders who will not be included in this metric. But wrapping things up, we see that Swedish crypto adoption has been on a small rise from 545,000 people to 630,000 people in the last year, and the male to female crypto ownership ratio remains somewhat reflective of the past year, while estimated Swedish crypto wealth is at a substantial 28 billion Swedish kroners, which may grow higher in the years to come, as many as 1.8 million potential Swedes may acquire crypto within the next decade.
Thank you very much, Vetle and Magnus. That was really, really interesting. And this is the second year that we have had this survey and digged into it through this Crypto Adoption Week. I'm just asking a couple of questions before we move on to the panel, just to highlight some of the findings. Did you expect a larger growth? Just to show you, there's one in LinkedIn. He says that looks at it in an optimistic way. He says that there's 241 new crypto holders each day. But still, did you imagine that the growth could be larger because of the Trump thing and the deregulation in the States and also maybe moving towards MiCA?
I would say it's maybe a yes and no. In general, if you zoom out and look at the macro perspective, like you say, Morten, then there's indications towards it. However, on the other side of the elements that we highlighted here in terms of the challenging times we are into the world in general, of everything getting more expensive, that leads to naturally you have less to invest in. So in the combination also that if you draw up in general that Swedish, the government side of Finansinspektionen to whatnot, they keep issuing warnings, they keep being call it negative, the general media writes negative in so matter of it, while it's a mix, I would say, in terms of the global landscape and picture, and also naturally how these things are being in maybe a wrong way connected also to Trump, the administration there, what he is doing in some matter. So it can turn out in both ways. So I personally is not that surprised per se about the findings in Sweden.
Maybe I can ask you, but the other thing that is going towards me at least is this difference between the ages, the demographic. Because last year the title on the press release was that young Swedes moved the adoption ahead, and now it seems that people are going to be more like my age. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a very surprising observation, and it was also like when you drill down into data into various age brackets, statistical observations become somewhat weaker. So I was wary of that when I saw that data point. But without getting too much ahead of myself and ahead of the crypto adoption week, we have seen figures resembling those across the Nordics. So it paints a picture of an evolving investor landscape in the crypto community, with crypto assets being legitimized and being more heavily invested in by older aged adults. And it is somewhat unsurprising in light of the massive entry of BlackRock and Fidelity into the industry in the last year. You see Larry Fink live on CNBC talking about the diversification benefits of holding some of your portfolio in Bitcoin, and you can even invest in like the same kind of brokerages that you invest in equities in. So for Sweden, on Avanza and Nordnet, and it's very accessible. So it takes away some of the radical grassroots sensations of crypto, but it makes it accessible for a different and broader investor base. And like while these products helps increasing the accessibility and giving access to older adults, the same kind of grassroots markets and spot markets and wild volatility markets are still prevalent and available for those who seek those. So it's basically the market expanding and becoming accessible to even more investors.
I think we should have just one question from the community. Maybe you are not able to answer it. Maybe it's an inspiration to future surveys. That's Mats Brodén that wants to know how is the adoption regarding self-custody Web3 wallets. Do you know?
Yeah, we don't have specific numbers on it, but we might get back to this one because it's a very relevant question to our partner Chainalysis also, who is one of the partners to the survey. So we can look into partially call it the on-chain data related to some of this one, and we'll try to do the best and see if we can get some mapping and screening out of them. Nothing is 100% exact naturally, but that's the closest thing we can try to do. So it's a good question from Mats.
Yeah, and further we have the question on where people trade, and like some indicated that they trade on Uniswap or another DeFi exchange, and they are obviously using Web3 wallet. And roughly in Norway in the past, we have seen that 1 in 10 crypto owners tend to use DeFi, and then you can assume that roughly 1 in 10 or 2 in 10 use a self-hosted wallet, but we don't have good data on it as of now, but it's definitely something we should prioritize for next year.
But we have, as Vetle said, we have 5% with Uniswap and other DeFi in general. So we can say pretty safe, and also based upon other previous year's surveys and other surveys in general in the world, that the rule of thumb is surrounding-ish 10% is related to DeFi market and also NFT markets in general out of the total numbers of crypto users in some matter.
So far then we thank Magnus and Vetle very much for this insight, and we will then move to the next phase in this live event where we will invite the panelists, but you will also have the possibility to come back and comment and take part in the discussion. So thank you so much, Vetle and Magnus, and then we will welcome 4 of our guests, which has been then willing to take part in this discussion and talk about how they view the findings. But maybe we should start with a short introduction to the people that we have in the stage. Matt, maybe you could start, as you are second to me on the screen here.
Welcome, and thank you for the invitation here. I'm Matt Broniarek. I'm head of operations at Safello, which is known and like one of the biggest crypto platforms to allow Swedish people to get in on the blockchain economy. Happy to be here.
Carl?
Yep, great. My name is Carl. I'm from Divly. So we help people with crypto taxation. We're very focused on the Nordics, including Sweden, where we began. So that's really my background.
Eric?
Yes, my name is Eric. I'm the COO at Goobit. We operate BTCX, which is also a trading platform here in Sweden. I'm also the co-founder of Blockchain Sweden, which is an industry association for the industry in Sweden.
Ebba?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm one of the 4 that's a woman, obviously, and matches the statistics, so I feel it's important to be here. So I'm CEO and co-founder of the venture builder accelerator 4Plus Ventures. And we have 4 focus areas for what we invest in co-build, and that's AI, blockchain, sustainability, and next generation infrastructure, which is obviously blockchain. And I think what we're trying to do is basically we help companies and ventures to actually use this upgrade of the internet to build next generation companies and applications.
Maybe I should start asking you then, Ebba, is there anything in these findings that brings up an important thought in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think it's a very, very interesting topic. And as I said, we were focusing on, to a large extent, sustainability in society. But I think now, given the times we're in, it's also about resilience, right? And for all of us who know that blockchain can do a lot of things, that is about collaboration and creating something that is, protecting us from kill switches because we share the responsibility of things. I think it's important to educate and to actually lift the capability of this technology to actually create those solutions that helps us. So I think that we are so few and that we're lagging behind and we have the low adoption that we do. I think that is a clear problem. We need to speed it up.
Are you now talking about Sweden or diversity?
I'm mainly talking about Sweden, but also about the Nordics, because we used to be a really strong tech region. And being a strong tech region, not being updated on this major update is concerning, I think.
Maybe I could invite you, Eric, maybe on behalf of Blockchain Sweden, because you have also done a survey from the industry, not from users, and there, as I remember, 10 out of 11 are unbanked, and also there's a lot of companies that have been even thinking about moving out of Sweden. So, is Sweden and no place to go?
Yes. So as you mentioned, we wrote a report that was more focused on the industry and how it is to operate companies, and not that much on retail adoption. Yes, what we found was that it's hard to run a company in Sweden. It's challenging to get bank accounts. We have a financial authority that is, in a nice way, not that collaborative. But that's on the institutional side. I also just want to mention we have other institutions that are friendly. So the tax authority and also I'd say the financial police are very good. But it's challenging to run a company here, and it's mainly, I would say, due to the financial authority that has created this. And it's very interesting to see the data also, since it's still 600,000 people in Sweden, or 7%. That's a big part of the electorate. So I'd argue it should be a higher priority, and maybe this survey can help to get that out. Yeah, that's in short. You can ask more question about the survey too.
What about you, Matt? I'm just thinking that you, for some months ago, you said, or Safello said that they had more than 400,000 clients, and I think that even the other crypto exchanges in Sweden also have large numbers. So it seems to be a discrepancy here. Is it the difference between real users or in your registry and active users, or how is that?
In general, I think I was a little bit surprised about the results of this survey, right? Like we had a massive bull run at the end of the year. And I think not only Safello, but any other company working in the industry had a stress test of their systems in November and December. So it was a little bit surprising that this growth was not reflected in the survey. But yeah, so we both us and other players, we had a strong year, strong quarter. And yeah, if believing the results, we have over 400,000 customers out of 630,000 in the survey in the whole country. Of course, given margins on the error margins for the survey, and maybe those crypto adopters are not easy to find in the society in general. They're hiding in the corners.
Carl, you are a company that are helping people to get their taxes in order, and you are doing it across a lot of different countries. So how does it look to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do resonate with Matt there regarding November, December. We also had a bit of a stress test. The amount of people coming in during a period after Trump was elected was very high compared to usually. I do also see, though, a lot of, so we pull in data from a lot of different exchanges, both local and international. And we do see a lot of times people have both, say, BTCX, Safello, Coinbase, and maybe a wallet. So I think it's a lot of people actually spread beyond these different exchanges. And that's why, even though maybe Safello has 400,000 customers of 630, I think a lot of them also have used BTCX or different trio, different providers as well. That's very common when we see people do taxes, actually. I did though think, yeah, a bit higher numbers I would have expected from November onwards, but maybe that's also, yeah, maybe some people left, I'm not sure.
But there are also some differences regarding the ways of packaging crypto, if you understand. And what stands out is this high percentage of ETFs or ETPs, which is called in Europe. And you guys, Matt, you have introduced crypto products as a new business area. Is that why you have done it? Because you see that there's a trend, older people or more classical people wanting to get exposure?
Yeah, of course, we see this as a great opportunity for us to not only as a business opportunity for Safello, but generally an opportunity to give Swedish society what they want and what they need. That might be several reasons, right? Taxation being one of them, that it is actually beneficial to hold crypto within those products. So we think it's important for us to be visible there, for the society to have these products hosted by Swedish player, somebody that they know and they can trust.
What about you? But you are on the investment side, so you're not trading. You are managing portfolios on behalf of clients. Is that your business, like an asset management company?
Yes.
What kind of clients do you have, and how are they moving at the moment? Are they hard to get into the crypto world, or have they seen a new light because of this BlackRock and all the other news for the last year?
It's a big question, but yes. So we have a different, basically what we do is that we co-build, we find entrepreneurs who want to build something using these technologies with these aims. We help them build by adding on the teams that they don't have, and then we get to invest in it. Sometimes we also invest in stuff because we think it's very good. Sorry. Hang on. Sorry. But what we're doing is basically, we're taking them to the next level where they can build on their own. Sorry, I thought I had.
We do hear you, Ebba, so just move on. Yeah.
Okay, so what we do basically, we see that the companies, they know that there's a new wave coming here where people understand a bit more about blockchain. They know that the potential hype situation. So everyone wants to build using this sort of new infusion of energy in this industry. So that's one of the things we're doing. And I think that's really, really good, because I think we have to elevate from just talking about crypto as an investment, like the Bitcoins and the ETFs, to something that is, what is the technology doing? And I want us to educate so people can use it for building all these things that we need. I come from the media industry. And one of the most interesting stuff is that when you get a new medium, like you would do in crypto and the metaverses, you get new business models. So I think what we need to do is to understand how to build those new business models. We also need to understand that this technology facilitates automation. That's also something that we need to educate people to do. So our commitment is basically to make sure that companies use this technology to elevate whatever we're building, so we can catch up on the technology train and not lag behind. So a lot of things are happening, and that's what we're advising, how to use the technology, basically. And I don't think we're that many that do that, actually.
Is there a need? Well, it was last year, I think, that the blockchain Sweden was organized in November or something, and you had some survey before that. But is there a really need for a wake-up call in the Swedish society, among politicians, among regulators, or other people? Because Sweden can be lagging behind, and at the same time, we also have some new signals from, for instance, Klarna, which have not been concrete after the CEO who tweeted a month ago or something. But can things be moving more? And how should the industry help things moving?
Yes, I definitely think something needs to happen. And on a good front, like Mika is coming now, and from then we will get Mika in Sweden. And the Swedish politicians just need to implement it, and I think that's good. However, Carl can touch on this more deeply. But from the user's perspective, the tax laws in Sweden are horrible, and that's one of the reasons why people go to ETPs. So if you're just an investor, ETPs are a great product. But if you're a user of crypto services or any type, when you start doing transactions and doing different things, then it's almost impossible to be completely compliant, depending on what you do. Carl and Divly does a great job there, but it's very challenging. And so that I'd say from the user's perspective is one of the biggest challenges. But from the company's perspective, then we need to get a more collaborative financial authority, and that will help the traditional financial system be more collaborative. And that's in short what I say. But I think I want to underscore the taxes there, because we also saw the data. Of course, it was a little bit misleading because a lot of people use ETPs and so on. But let's say, nicely said, 5% do their taxes, and there's still 95% that don't. Sorry.
What is your thinking about this, Carl? And how important is the tax, both the system and the level, between the different Nordic countries? It seems like, for instance, in Denmark, they have had a large debate about a possible new tax regime, which was postponed. And you, Erik, says that is not good. And in Norway, it has been rather stable for a lot of years. What is your view of this, Carl?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Denmark proposal was awful, I think, for crypto traders. So I'm glad for the crypto world there that that's not going through right now. And I mean, in Sweden, as Erik says, there is a large downside to taxation, which is that you can only discount basically 70% of your losses towards your gains, which means you could actually have made net losses during the year but still pay taxes. So say if you make 100 crowns in profits and 70 crowns in losses, you technically have 30 crowns in profits to the tax authority. I hope they're trying to change this, I think, but right now that makes it very unappealing to trade a lot for crypto holders here in Sweden, and therefore something like an ETP where you just pay a percentage tax on your wealth basically is a lot more practical in that sense, which is unfortunate, because I think it's quite, in my personal view, it's quite unfair that you don't get to use 100% of your losses against your profits.
Sometimes we are observing that there seems to be what we call the crypto is meeting the TradFi, is meeting the fintech industry. Is that true? And is that why you, Matt, in Safello, are rebuilding your platform and making it not only for brokerage of unique crypto, or what are your vision on this merging of TradFi and crypto?
Well, so there's multiple things here. Like, first of all, yes, we are very excited about introducing the new way of trading with Safello. So we want to encourage people to do more with their crypto, to give them the more tools to operate the trade. But yes, I think that when it comes to TradFi, we have the bigger players coming into the industry, and we also have a lot of big players building or rebuilding their infrastructure using crypto, right? Like we have just in the last couple of months, we had several acquisitions of stablecoin network payment networks, right? So that taps along with the projections of the future crypto owners. Okay, maybe people will not invest in some meme coins on Solana and so on, but maybe they will be using crypto without even realizing it. So what we see and what I personally believe in, that I think that part of our infrastructure will be built on the blockchains, and whether you like it or not, maybe you will be sending some money somewhere abroad. You don't even know it, but it might be using some stablecoin infrastructure as a raise for that payments. So I think that this crypto adoption might be a little bit different than what we imagine. You know, people stepping in and putting in their own like custody and holding their wallets. Crypto will be there in the background.
How will that influence the end user compared to the industry or the banks? Will it be like you are saying, that you don't even know, you just send money abroad, for instance, or get money from abroad?
I think maybe this institutions will not hide the fact that they are using blockchain, but for the very common basic user, like they will not care. Like for most people, like if they need to send some funds abroad, like it might be the first time they see what is SEPA payment or like what is SWIFT. Like they don't realize, they don't really care. What they care about is if the transaction will be fast or if they will be cheap, and so on. And yeah, that's the next wave in my view.
Someone has said that stablecoin is the killer app in crypto, and someone is laughing about it because it's not real crypto, because it's sort of fiat. Do anyone want to comment on that? Eric? You're a Bitcoin only, so more or less then. So
No, but I think stablecoins is just like an updated. It's a payment system. Instead of having 3 middlemen before you settle a transaction, you have 1 or 0, and that's a huge improvement. And I think only that alone is like it will get adopted. We've seen Stripe made like huge moves, and now we also see MoonPay investing in it, and so I think we will see a big adoption of it. And I think I agree with Matt that it's users will, in the same way they don't care if it's a SEPA payment or some other payment method. It will just be stablecoins as the rails, and what that like in the future can lead to, that maybe we will see tokenization of assets make more sense, since it's the money is already on the blockchain, and but I think stablecoins are the first step.
I would like to agree with Eric, because I think that is what will actually help us. One of the topics that a lot of the companies we talk to is about the AI agents, and that the AI agents is one automation tool. And then in combination with stablecoins, which makes it possible, the rails for the payments, that in itself will probably lead to a lot of coming applications using it. So I think the stablecoin is like the first most critical tooling in this whole toolbox using this new generation of intranet.
Is AI agent also the first real area where we will see a merger between AI and the crypto?
Well, I think a lot of people are working on it and trying to figure out how to use it and how to automate, because I think that's one of the headlines of what this technology shift can do. It can automate things. So there will be different components helping, like the AI. We know that already today helps us. I guess all of you are using it too. And then when an agent can also pay for itself, or it can be part of an ecosystem where values are moved around, I think definitely it's like soon going to be very many trying it.
Matt, you have some thoughts about AI?
Yeah, I think it is very interesting because, like, just when you look at the development of AI, or AI intelligence, AI adoption compared to human intelligence, AI is speeding up, and pretty much AI doesn't have any other method of payment than crypto. It seems like crypto is a perfect pathway for AI to get into the economy. And it's just like you look at the crypto adoption in other parts of the world where people actually use crypto because they need to, because that's essential part of their economy, or like keeping their finances in check. In Sweden, crypto, like, it's an investment vehicle. People don't really need it for daily operations, going somewhere, like not losing money on their local currency or going somewhere and pay, which we can see in the other parts of the globe. And their adoption is growing much faster than in Europe and then in Sweden. So now take AI that doesn't have entirely anything else to pay for something. And we see this just the last couple of weeks or months where these AI agents are just popping up stronger and stronger, that can do more and more. And this is very, very hard to predict how the future will look like, but it's definitely interesting.
So it's sort of AI needing the blockchain or the crypto as a payment rail, not the other way around? It's
both. It's
both. It's enhancing, it's enforcing each other, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So are we there now in sort of an inflection point between crypto and AI? Because for 2 years ago, a lot of people in the industry sort of flew into the ChatGPT part. Is some of them coming back?
I think they're doing it in combination, right? Because we need tools that help us do things, and the AI is one part of automation. The other is the payment, and I think that will only continue building. And I think it's also because now we have a new set of challenges where we understand that, for instance, resilience, as I was talking in the start, like Starlink, when they had this international conflict, someone can have a kill switch stopping the network from working. So we already know that we have to build like all these systems in a decentralized way, which if you have AI agents doing a lot of things that could potentially be dangerous, you want to have kills, you want to have a resilient network of actors, having shared power over it. So definitely. And there's a lot of things happening in this field, right? There's so many things going on.
I will soon bring back the speakers so we can widen the conversation. But there's one question I just wanted to ask, and this is about diversity. We in Kaupe, we launched a live event 3 or 4 weeks ago related to the 8th of March. And we thought that it was needed to make some more knowledge about it. And there were 3 co-hosts from Sweden, Denmark, and Norway that took the challenge and made it totally a great event. But still we see in this survey that we are on 3%, was it? But of course, depends on how you compare the numbers. But can we reach adoption in main society without having women as part of the adoption?
I don't think so.
But what are the means? How are guys like we other people here going to adjust so that things can happen?
It's really hard to discuss this in the male-dominated panel, right? So probably Ebba should have.
But I think this is a good start, right? I mean that's and I don't know if it's a cultural difference too. I think it's first of all it's being invited. And it's like any network, right? Power perpetuates itself. Those who have the word, they will invite others who they know, and you look for similarities because that's what you trust. So when you have someone that comes in with different perspective or a different background, then it's a natural thing. We're territorial and we're scared of what's different. So I think that's what it is. And just letting people like myself and my colleagues take a part in the discussion, having other topics, looking at it from other perspectives, hopefully that can inspire others to see that there are 50 plus women in this industry too. And I've been in this industry since 2017. It's a long time, but it's difficult.
To be frank, Ebba, we have invited even more women. So we are trying to.
But we are too. When we have a portfolio of companies like startups, we also want to, incentivize and support female funders and us investors. But we too struggle how to do that. So I don't think it's you men are bad not inviting or we women are good at it. It's a shared issue. And I think the core problem by doing that is if we want to be smart about the things we build and the solutions that we build for the future, we need a lot of perspectives. And it's not just men and women, it's the age difference, it's the different backgrounds. There's so many. The core most important thing, I think, is to actually harvest and incentivize different perspectives. So that's a challenge for us all.
I can maybe just jump in and speak for my colleague Rebecca, who quite recently started the podcast Bitcoin and Women. And we also host meetups in our office for women only. And in my understanding, I think we need forums like that, since sometimes men tend to do a little bit of mansplaining. So women don't really ask the questions or ask the basic questions. But these forums have started a very good discussion, and the work she's doing is great. And we see the community is growing day by day. So I think we will. I'm optimistic.
Matt, you would also like to comment on this topic before we maybe also hear a little from Vetle and Magnus and Jakob. Matt, come on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, guys, we really invite women to join the industry. You're really welcome. There is something in the nature of like between men and women, like that guys usually take the risks first, and for every crypto guy there in the world, there is a wife or girlfriend there who doesn't even care about what that is. But the growth is there, right? Like, and Safello, at least even look at the leadership team of Safello. It's, I think, like a majority of women actually right now. We have the CEO, the chief compliance, the legal, the finance. These are all women. So this is happening, right? Now let's reflect that on the actual user base.
Okay then, Magnus, Vetle, Jakob, any one of you guys that want to reflect on what you got out of the numbers and what these thought leaders and industry leaders sees as the opportunities and challenges? Magnus?
Yeah, I think we summarized it quite well here on, call it, the pro-con side of the whole thing. And I would also just like to, enhance and stress that I see on the diversity side that we see great initiatives coming up in Sweden. With, like Eric said on the podcast, on different meetups that is coming up now, there's different communities growing stronger. So we actually see a very positive trend in general. And I've been saying this since 2017, the party that actually comes up with the use case to bring women into this one, they are going to be the next unicorn, because that's the market that is literally up for grab here. So it's not only, call it, just because of diversity, like many throws out. It's actually a great use case in itself there to figure this one out. But like we heard in your broadcast, Morten, and I think that was very well discussed in general for 2-3 hours there, in terms of the real challenges, the opportunities, and everything. There are still things to be worked on. So, but in general, I applaud and salute what is being going on in Sweden on this area, clearly, in some matter. But when it comes back to the survey, I, as said, is not per se surprised in itself of the numbers. I can agree, of course, to a certain part with the bull run indications that we had, but I think maybe that's also an indicator towards that what we see now is maybe that the persons who already were in this landscape, they bought up further or did the quick in and quick outs, while the other ones, they might also go into other sides to this. And like Ebba said, they're looking more into, call it, the technology surrounding of the whole of the industry, and not only, call it, the quick wins in some matter. And that can be a sign towards this one. But like I always say, if you're into this one from the technology point of view, you always have to be also into it from, call it, the tokenized point of view, as long as you're using a public blockchain, because you have to pay the transaction fee, the gas fee, with cryptocurrency. So they are clearly interconnected in my point of view. So that's also an important thing that we should remember in the totality, and one of the reasons for why we do this one as, call it, the crypto adoption point of view, and not only looking into, call it, the get quick rich type of thing, but rather from the ecosystem of infrastructure in general.
What about you, Vetle? Do you have anything to say, not necessarily on these topics, but about what your findings were related to what people in this panel are focused around?
Yeah, I can start off by addressing the question related to where people trade, and highlight that what Matt mentioned is correct in this regard, that when you ask the 1,000 respondents whether or not they own crypto, you get a wide panel. But when you ask 80 respondents who hold crypto where you trade, you will see some spurious observations and less accurate data. What we now have is data for Sweden 2 years in a row, and we have data for the rest of the Nordics, so we can try to uncover some differences within the landscapes in those jurisdictions. And I think this is a cornerstone of what's important information to to utilize in Sweden in particular from this survey once we wrap up everything with regards to particularly domestic exchanges, because in Norway we have a very, very thriving local exchange scene. This is obviously good for like Norwegian businesses, Norwegian profits. It's a Norwegian exchange who earns revenues from Norwegian activity. It's good from a government perspective because instead of having to try to contact Binance or any of the major massive exchanges, you can step by the Oslo office and get directly in touch with the local exchanges. And for users, you have trading from a Norwegian bank account to a Norwegian bank account. So it's easier to make or not get robbed in your transaction from your international banks to your national bank. And then further, these Norwegian banks earn the benefit of having big deposits from established player like Firi, K33, and NBX. So it's like a win-win-win for all parties, from transparency lenses to spreads to transactions. So it's definitely a message that should be communicated in a pragmatic and rational way to Swedish authorities to highlight that it's an important point specifically related to Sweden, because we see differences elsewhere.
Jakob, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, just want to maybe give like an overall comment. I think from both NBA and from a personal opinion as well. Like we come as a Nordic region where we built, we have a lot of startup. We are really furthering technology and then really focusing on that. And I think what we are seeing is that there's a lot of people building some really, really good solutions out there where blockchain is implemented. We see larger enterprises adopting blockchain. So I think like maybe for the listener as well, I really want to state that the thing that's been going on in Denmark, where the industry public have been going out talking to regulators, ministries, and they actually want to be educated. Like we had some really good dialogues with public elected and ministries, and they just really want to understand what it is. And I really see like initiatives like this is extremely important. And I think it's maybe just the urge to say like, I think people around the table or people listening in, it's not trading is one part of it, right? But we believe that technology can do something. So I really think like we need to keep on this dialogue we have, and we need to engage a lot more with policymakers and the industry. And we can just see a lot of positive things towards that, which the number doesn't really show. Maybe it shows a little bit that you have more senior people like us, like investing into the industry. So I think I just see as well a lot of positive sign with the age group investing into the technology. So I just want to urge that, like, let's make sure to talk to people about the technology, right? Like that this is way towards changing the positive matter, which as well would go into some of the regulatory changes that we have. So I just want to urge to have that part of a really important thing as well.
Could I follow up your Jakob with one question, because you have for 7 years had this blockchain conference in Copenhagen, and the association is started sort of in, well, I think it has had the Nordic history in the old days, but now you are moving it to Stockholm this year. What is the reason behind this?
I think like the main reason is that, well, there's many main reasons, but I think there was 21% attending last conference was from Sweden, right? So that shows a really great interest. And I think like Eric and the work that's done by the Blockchain Sweden for us is extremely important. For us, when we started out, it was a lot of builders. Like it was people thinking about blockchain. Could you pay? Could you buy a beer for it? But we're seeing a lot of institutional interest. We see a lot of people, like we have Safello, extremely large exchange. So we really see that the Swedish market has just really developed a lot and developed a lot. Like Stockholm have always been further ahead versus Copenhagen in towards technology and startups. So it's just a national next step to go into Stockholm. And I think, again, I really want to emphasize like the Swedish Blockchain Association's report just shows a lot of people actually working with the technology. So for us, it was just like extremely natural. We should have done it a couple of years ago, but now we've got it here. So we just see a lot of people working with the technology, which is extremely important for us. That's why it's important to be in Stockholm next year, or this year, sorry.
I think we are wrapping up quite soon here, but I thought that I should end it with every one of you giving one advice or one key thing that you. I'm not saying that Sweden is moving backwards because it's not. It's moving ahead, but maybe it could move faster. What should the industry, what should companies, what should learners do to make things being adopted on the tech side, on the finance side, on the user experience side? Could I ask you, Eric, first?
Yes. So I guess one main insight that we see in Sweden is that on the institutional side, or then I mean like financial authority and banks, we see a lot of skepticism, but then on the other side, we see a lot of retail growth. Let's say it's 600,000 or maybe more, as Matt or Carl thought. And we also see the older cohort, which I think is interesting. So in the leadership positions, there are generally older people. So maybe we will see the people going in the rabbit hole, so to say, in that age cohort, and that will maybe improve. But this is more like organic things that I think will happen. But what we can do is what we're trying to do with Blockchain Sweden is just to organize and collaborate more as an industry. Also, as we saw in the data, the Swedish exchanges represent about 20% of the volume. So it makes our competitors are the ETPs and international exchanges, not the Goobit versus Safello. So I think we can become better at collaborating generally and solve our issues.
What is your sense then, Matt?
Yeah, of course, I agree with what Eric says. But from my perspective, I think there is the important thing is to meet the customer where they want to be met, right? So we, from the beginning, we've always strived to create the easiest, the most safe and trusted way for Swedish people to enter into crypto. Now we are developing the more advanced trading capabilities to capture or like to serve to those advanced traders. And if you want to get on the wait list, you can reach out to me and we'll sort that out. And then there is a third one, which is and the report confirms that Swedish people want to trade the ETPs, and they want to trade on their equity apps and so on. So we are also trying to answer that and enter into this segment. So for me, I think to enable the next wave of adoption is to meet the customer where they want to be.
What do you think is the sweet source, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, I am very deep into the tax world, so that's what I think about every day. So, I mean, I think it'd be nicer with slightly better tax regulation for Swedes, like being able to offset 100% of your losses. That's one. There's more as well to make it simpler. But otherwise, one thing I also see people struggle with is bank accounts. So a lot of people struggle, have bank accounts closed because they use crypto, because there's a very negative perception of crypto amongst especially some banks. So it'd be very nice to see that, make it easier for people to have bank accounts and not get them closed down just because they traded a bit of crypto and were able to prove it. So, but I think Blockchain Sweden is doing a great thing for us and pushing that agenda as well.
What about you, Ebba? What do you think is some of the keys to adoption?
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what has been said already, but of course education, so we can start building and also take away the stigma of being in this industry, that we can actually talk about what we're doing, and that politicians and the companies dare to, bet on it and work with us. So collaboration, basically.
And what about you? That maybe this type of events and maybe this survey that you have done for 5 or 6 years is one key, is it? Because people understand more of what is really happening.
Yeah. So what we know is that Norway and Sweden is widely different when it comes to crypto adoption. I think a portion of that has been helped by very active engagement from Torbjörn and K33 Research over the years with local journalists, moving the public discourse and trying to have both talk the positive aspects of crypto, but also be balanced and nuanced, so it's taken seriously. Just engaging with journalists, engaging with the authorities, and over time, that will potentially help move the needle.
What about you, Magnus? What do you think?
Yeah, I copy lots of the things that has been said here naturally, but I think we also in general as a society needs to move away from, call it the mantra that crypto is taking over for the Swedish crown or the dollar or whatever. We have to understand that we have come to a level where crypto and blockchain in itself has come to stay. And they will be complementary to each other, all depending on the different use case, like the panel has discussed there, all depending on, like, do we do a Swedish transfer? We don't per se need a crypto to do that. Swish works perfectly well. But if you look into cross-border, that's something different. And like we said, custodial wallets or not, it all depending on the situation and where you are. So there's not a one-to-one case on the use of crypto, but it has come to stay. And that's where we need to do the collaboration in maybe a tighter way and move away from the skepticism per se, that we have shown that it's not per se criminals that is using this one. It's used for so many other purposes, and that we need to raise this one. So I think that the great work that Blockchain Sweden and all the other key players who is present here today is doing is very important, and how we collaborate. And I think, like you said, Morten, on the survey here is one thing. Another is another survey that Jacob and me and the Nordic Blockchain Association is working on from the industry point of view, and how we see these things are connected. So I think lifting this one up as the totality is the most important thing, and that we need to lift it maybe to a level where a country should actually have a blockchain strategy in place in terms of the development and the involvement in general, and that's maybe the next step going forward. So I enhance the stronger collaboration and bringing facts to the table, not presumptions and false presumptions based upon an old market from 2017, which we unfortunately still see in the media picture the day to day.
Have you anything to add to these things, Jakob, or totally agree?
Yeah. To sum it up, at least from us and personal perspective, we're in a global world where we need to attract talented companies and knowledge to our region in the Nordic, right? I mean, that is in every common good, right? So, and that's the essence of what people are saying here. We need to do it, and I think, like, I can speak, I think, for everyone here, like bad actors. If someone don't like bad actors, that's the people within the industry, right? So I think we're really heading in the right direction. Everyone just needs to really think about, let's make a plan. Let's get technology to our region.
Thank you very much, Stan. And then I will wrap it up and say that we are, during this week, organizing 5 different events. Tomorrow, there is Denmark, the survey and the results and the findings from the Danish survey, with new guests. The survey will be presented by Magnus and Vetle as today. And on Wednesday, we have both Finland and Iceland. Iceland is a new friend in this community. And we will wrap the whole week up on Friday, where we have a combined live event with 1.5 hour with the Norwegian server. And then we will have a short break and then sum it up on a Nordic level. So keep it up. We will also create content on Kuiper. There will also be some press releases going out. So hopefully also the world around us will pick up some of these trends. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
You.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks.